How very dare you, Max Verstappen, dunking on the other 19 best drivers in the world with impunity without compunction. How very dare you, Max Verstappen. You've heard all the naysayers and all of their criticism, all of the nonsense. They said that you were a fast car merchant, that you couldn't do it without Adrian Newey. You heard all the nonsense about 2021, that you've been gifted as near as makes no difference all of your championships erstwhile. You heard all the nonsense about that you couldn't achieve, you couldn't do it under pressure, and you dunked on all of them. Where are the naysayers now, chat? Non-rhetorical question. Oh, wait. Nowhere, because unless they wish to be self-declared abbots of unreason against the backdrop under the aegis of a cacophony of evidence now that suggests that Maximilian Verstappen might very well be one of the best, if not the best, F1 drivers that we've ever seen. The naysayers need to hide, take 10 seats, never ever open their mouth again, and take Maximilian Verstappen's name in vain. Never ever again. Even your boy Cameron CC said that maybe Max Verstappen might not be a Baku specialist. That's Charles Leclerc's remit. Maybe there's something about Baku, Sector 2, the 90-degree turns, low minimum speed, medium duration that doesn't suit Max Verstappen's style. That was the chatter from F1 aficionados coming into this Grand Prix. Maybe you need a more aggressive style on the steering wheel to nail yourself a Sector 3. That's what everybody said coming into this. Check out Max Verstappen's record. He's never won around here, never pulled it. Checo used to have his way with Max Verstappen around this Grand Prix. And then you see the truth. Max Verstappen dunks on everyone, myself included, that ever doubted this fella. I'm telling you, chat, this is nonsense. And then you break down the qualifying session and see how staccato it was. Everybody and their dog made mistakes. Lewis out in Q2 for Pete's sake. Piastri in the barrier. Charles Leclerc in the barrier. And then it starts raining. Carlos Sainz has to put it on pole. He's the only one of the quick-ish drivers to have gotten a lap in during the dry. And Max Verstappen says, no, thank you. Okay? What are you doing, Carlos Sainz? That pole position belongs to me. How very dare you think for a second that you belong on pole when I'm still in? And Red Bull made mistakes, chat. It's important that we give this full colour and context. Red Bull did make mistakes. Why was Max Verstappen trundling around last on the track during the dying embers of Q3? Lest we wish to repeat for the mistakes of Christmas past. Yellows, yellows, yellows and reds. That was the story of the qualifying session. So why then was Max in the dying embers with only a few runners doing a hot lap last on track? It didn't make sense, but it doesn't matter when it's Max, eh? He doesn't care. He laughs in the face of probability. The odds makers didn't even have him as the favourite. That was Lando Norris in that MCL 3.9 god tier levels of around, by the way, its natural habitat, low and medium speed turns. This was Lando and Oscar's territory. The bookmakers told us so. That's why they were both favourites. But then Max Verstappen laughs in the face of the probability in the odds. Give me that, he said. And again, the crescendo of the session, you find out that it starts raining. I mean, it's a rain-strewn session, drips and drabs, but nevertheless, it was raining. And that's when these drivers had to do their hot lap. So then Carlos Sainz, you know what I mean? Fortune favours the brave and the quick. Sometimes Carlos Sainz had got a lap on in the dry. It was a 1:41.595. And you can't outdo physics. When the island gets wet, what are you supposed to do in qualifying? You only get one shot at love. You need to keep it on the island when all around them are losing. There's Piastri, Norris mistakes, Albon mistakes, every man on their dog mistakes and into the barrier. And now it's wet. What are we going to do then, chat? Max Verstappen fans around the world were like, no chance. Hamilton, Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, gone. Each and every single one of them. They're meant to be some of the best drivers in the world now. The F1 maths, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, was not mathing. There is no way Max Verstappen should be able to put in a lap 5/10 quicker than Carlos Sainz. I don't care if he's in a Williams. In the wet, chat, it was raining. That's why Lando Norris is so far down the road. 7/10 might I add down the road from Carlos Sainz. People can say all they want to about, well, that's Carlos Sainz in a Williams. Tell that to Lando Norris. Lando Norris was far down the road, not even in the same stratosphere as a dry weather lap from Carlos Sainz, because that's F1. You can't outrun physics unless your name is Maximilian Verstappen. rain-strewn track, and this is where I should have known, chat. I should have known. I should have known already. As soon as it's changeable conditions, who better to step up and seize victory from the jaws of defeat because of all of the circumstances, not despite, than Maximilian Verstappen. I should have known. The second that I saw drips on the bloody camera lens, I should have known. Max Verstappen has shown us on a gazillion occasions, lest we forget Brazil 2024, 2016 Brazil, that every time there's wet and rain and changing conditions, Monaco when it gets wet there, that nobody can handle nor navigate those circumstances better than this fella, the Dutchman, the 4-time, soon to be 5-time champion, Maximilian Verstappen. Here's what he does that's differently. Lando Norris said it a couple of race weekends ago, that the one who wins the race weekend 9 times out of 10 is the one who makes the least mistakes. If you look up least mistakes in a dictionary, you will see a picture of Max Verstappen's face. He doesn't make mistakes. He's metronomic in his ability to execute, bring out of himself the best when it matters most. He's different, therefore, from the other 19. I've said that a gazillion times, and I will say it again on the back of yet another metronomic performance. He's an alien. He's built different. It makes no sense. Don't believe me? Well, talk to Franz Tost, who thinks he's worth 2 to 3 tenths on the rest. Talk to the Toto, the boy who cried wolf, who will yet and still more now than ever dropkick in the chest George Russell or Antonelli if it means he can so much get a whiff of the signature of Max Verstappen. Don't believe me? Ask Lauren Mekies, ask Christian Horner, ask anyone up and down the grid that knows anything about F1 and what god tier levels of speed looks like. Max Verstappen is doing something different. We know that, and I shouldn't have doubted him. I shouldn't have doubted him going into the hot lap, but still, in my mind, my very noddy B-spec F1 mind, it looked impossible. Here was the challenge. Max Verstappen needs to go quicker than Carlos Sainz, who had done in the Williams, which is getting quicker, decent around the short, medium speed turns that epitomises Sector 2 at Baku. That Max Verstappen needed to beat Carlos Sainz, who's no slouch, in a Williams, having set his 141.6 in the dry chat. That's what Max Verstappen needed to do. I doubted that he could do it, but then he goes and does it with aplomb, without compunction, as if it's just standard. It's nothing. He's just going for a Sunday drive, and the reasons why are this. There is no driver on the grid that can better manipulate the car in and around the limits of adhesion. 2, they always said this about Senna, that Senna always knew where the traction limit was, where the grip was in the corner before he even got there. This is nurture and nature, the perfect symbiosis of it. Jos Verstappen and Sophie's child. He has F1 in his blood, but he also practices ad infinitum in the sim. Mr. 10,000 hours. That's why he gets to the corner in changeable conditions, and he knows where the grip is before he's even got there. You can see him on the steering wheel adjusting it. It's chaos, chat. Nobody else can do that on the grid, and that's my point. And I'm sticking to, there is a different god tier level of thing that he's doing that none of the other 19 can. And if that wasn't enough, if you're talking about execution, Lando had a quick car. Lando's not bad around here, nor is Oscar, nor is Charles, for Pete's sake. Over the past 5 qualifying sessions, including sprints, Charles bats 100% of the time, for he's undefeated, undisputed. He's a specialist around here. And what happened to modern day Jean Lazy today? In the barrier, mistake of the unforced variety. And by contrast, that tells you who Maximilian Verstappen is, because he's batting 1,000 now, as near as makes no difference in an RB21. If he can get a whiff of pole, he will nail it. Different, metronomic. I'm not sure, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, that I've ever seen anything like this dude. He's a machine. He's an alien. He's Neo in the F1 Matrix. He's playing by different rule and reg sets. If he has a whiff of it, he will make the difference. And I think, in conclusion, I think as F1 fans, we should all be glad to be in his orbit, to be so close to the Max Verstappen sporting endeavour par excellence blast radius. I am grateful that I'm going to be able to tell my grandkids about the times when Max Verstappen, built different, made the difference. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix Baku pole was yet another example, the latest in a litany of Max Verstappen. As far as his performance today, all heads must bow, all tongues must confess, for even naysayers must confess that this chap might be the greatest. What are we doing? Yeah.